Alright folks, I have returned with some diorama action. As I mentioned in the last video, I've been working on a lot of stuff, and I'm actually starting to accumulate a lot of Joe stuff, classified. So I thought, why not take a break from the urban alleyway type stuff and do some nature diorama. Now this is almost to the stage of where I'm actually going to fill this in. All this stuff here is going to be filled in with resin, water texture, paint, and water. And then I might mix in some gel effects, but the gel effects from AK will probably go on top. And before I go in, I just want to tie up anything, any loose ends, and a couple things to note. This does have a couple modular pieces. By modular, I mean they're removable. So we've got a tree there. This rock, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Put it however you want it. And then we've got another rock. So at this point, what I'm going to do basically is just fill in any little small gaps in my foliage here. Now, when I first lay down my base, I will typically use some tack glue. In this case, this is tack glue, by the way, or tacky glue. Comes in a variety of brands. In this case, we have a handy sprayer. I believe this is by Vallejo. Spray tack. And that will allow us just to spray the perimeter, so I can just sprinkle in more greenage, foliage. And there are a few different options we can use. There's 1, 2, and let's see, 3. So I think at this point, all we're really gonna need is a little light green, and we're just basically gonna spray the top perimeters and get all that in. At that point, we're gonna mask off the sides and the back and front. We're actually gonna pour in our resin solution for our water. So real quick, I'll cut it and I'll show you the spray. All right, so at this point, I have applied my spray tack pretty well to all the areas that are not covered. And this stuff is really useful because at this point, all we're gonna do is just kind of, literally just kind of sprinkle in this light green. Because we wanna cover up some of this dirt and just make it a little brighter. And what doesn't stick, remember, we can always just reuse. It'll fall off. And just a note, whenever I do some of this stuff like this plastic moss, this is just stuff off like an artificial tree or a plant. That's actually put down with tack glue. The spray is what I'm now using just for all the fine fibers, and this is really just to finish it up, just to get it ready for what's coming up, which is going to be actually taping it off and making our water resin. All right, so here we are. We've got Stalker and Recondo chilling in the cut, and we are about ready to make our water solution. We have a bevy of colors, and while this water should be kind of dark and murky, I do want to avoid going too heavy on the green because we're already using a lot of green. Okay guys, we've got our cut cup. It's just a small ramekin of water. There's a lot of ways to do this. It's just kind of up to preference. Before we add some of our paint, our first step is to add some resin to make this thick. And I'm actually using Vallejo's water texture still water. So we're gonna be fairly liberal with this. And that should do it. You get one of these bottles, they'll last forever. Okay. At this point, I'm just gonna do some stirring. Hopefully not spill too much. Try to get a thicker base here. And from here, we'll just kind of start building our color. Alright guys, because I'm using one hand, sorry about the cut. These are the colors I've chosen. A little bit goes a long way with this model paint. It's not cheap. So we'll start. Just a little bit of blue. Vallejo, and then we're gonna hit it with Elven Green from the Game Master. Couple drops. Now we're gonna go light green Vallejo. And this emerald, I dig this color. And last, we're gonna add some white. This may not be the last thing we add, but just kind of see where we're at after that. Don't need much of that. Okay, so we're gonna stir it up. Just try to get a nice consistency here. I'm gonna try something different. I'm actually gonna add, I think we need just a little more blue, like a light blue. Although I do like that emerald color so far. So let's see. Azure, okay. That might work, or we could just go with blue wash. Now this is the Aki's Water Gel Effects. I'm just gonna use this to kind of thicken our mixture up. This is typically used on top of this layer to kind of give it a sheen, like a shiny. We need to keep stirring this anyway. Make sure everything's in there. And after I get all this off, our next step will be to actually pour. And looking at it, I may actually just add a little bit of blue. And from here, we're going to actually pour it into our diorama. This stuff is transparent. It's just, you may see the little white flakes in there for now, but they won't stick around. So this will actually be our water. Top it off. A little bit of white. Yeah, there we go. Now, I'm going to get to a place where I can pour this in without making a big mess. Now here we are in a safer place to pour this. I haven't gone crazy as far as framing this thing. I used masking tape and some plastic. As long as you get your seal, it should be good. I'm also gonna put it in this box because regardless of what you use, some of it's gonna come out. And we're gonna start to pour. I think like we'll have enough here. If not, we'll have to go back for round 2. This is sometimes hit or miss. Now, pull this up real quick. We're just gonna let that slosh around, get in there. Just kind of let the water naturally move. Now, as you see, we have a nice glossy coat here of resin, and we're gonna let this sit. Looking now, I probably could have added more water, and I may come back and pop it with some resin, but let's just see how this settles. Again, you just want to make sure you have some even distribution, because you can always go on top of that. So let's wait till the next video and see how it turns out, and then from there we'll kind of pile on some more resin, do some water effects, just get a nice shiny reflective surface.